And Intel wants to make sure the biggest innovations in gaming continue to happen on the PC by giving developers a hand with the Intel Game Dev Program. All you have to do is sign up, and Intel will provide the resources necessary to help you continue to innovate and make gaming even more amazing. Head on over to the Game Dev Program at software.intel.com/gamedev to get started. Again, that URL is software.intel.com/gamedev. It's the internet, you're busy, and I forgot to put Mike's camera into the live stream. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing that while we're doing this rundown here.
You suck. You're fired.
I'm so bad at everything, Mike. It's the worst.
Yeah. You only had, what, an hour of prep time?
An hour of prep time, and this is only like the 53rd time we've done this. It's the internet, you're busy, let's do this. Welcome to the GamesBeat Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything about the world of games so you don't have to think for yourself. I'm Jeffrey Grubb, your host. With me is Mike Minotti. Mike's going to vamp for me here for a second. Is that the right word? Well, I actually put a video.
What is that? What is that weird bad guy from Metal Gear Solid 2 have to do with this?
Isn't that where that comes from? That guy from Metal Gear Solid 2? He used to be very good at like just talking and filling air.
No, he's literally a vampire. Is why he's called Vamp.
That doesn't sound right to me, Mike.
It sounds right because it is right.
I'm not buying it. All right, you're facing.
Oh, well, I don't know what to say. He's a vampire.
What are we going to be talking about this week? Are we talking about the news and some games? There was a lot happened in the last week. It was a hell of a week. It was
a bit of a week, wasn't it?
I can hit this button to make your face better. Oh God, now I screwed it up. Ah, this is the worst, Mike. I'm just going to kind of get into it. People want to see the top of your forehead on the live stream for a little bit.
You're an embarrassment.
I want to thank everyone for joining us. You can get more from me and Mike at GamesBeat.com. Plenty of embarrassment on GamesBeat.com if that's your thing. If you have something to share with us, email the podcast at gamespluspodcast@venturebeat.com. Stop it, Mike. If you're watching on Facebook.
Well, somebody's got to do your job, Jeff. Somebody has to get me in frame.
It's really bad. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, I apologize if you are. You could subscribe to the podcast on... No, I'm going to fix it. You just wait. You can subscribe to Apple Podcast. There you go.
This is me now.
Yeah, perfect. Google Play, Stitcher, blah, blah, blah. God damn it. If you like us, rate us on Apple Podcast. All right. Mike, why don't you just kind of jump into some games you've been playing, and I'm going to fix this in like the next 30 seconds, and then I'll be able to talk again.
Oh, sounds good, Jeff. Let's see how I make his head move when I talk.
Yeah, this is very good.
All right. I've really just been playing Metroid because, you know, I'm reviewing it. In fact, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to, but yeah, I got to finish my review soon, so I'm working on that, really. I still just been enjoying it a lot. It's been, you know, I think we talked about it quite a bit last week. I guess the only thing that, like, I think is going to be a notch against it is some sort of visual and gameplay repetitiveness. The gameplay repetitiveness is fine, you know. It's a Metroid game, so you're doing a lot of the same kind of things. It is kind of... I think that it's the big artifact from the fact that this was based on a Game Boy game. Is that the whole thing kind of looks the same. Like, you go to these different areas, you're kind of progressing, and it all basically still just looks like caves. Like cool alien caves. It's very Metroid-y, but it's kind of just like that one Metroid note the entire time.
My understanding, though, is that they've updated so much of this game that does that feel kind of like they left this part behind?
Well, I don't mean necessarily in terms of like, in fact, I was actually watching a Metroid 2 speedrun today to try to get an idea of just how different this is. Because I never played a lot of Metroid 2 back in the day. It's very different. It's very ground up. But I think just still the concept, right? That you're in this one alien planet and you're kind of just going through the core. Like, I think that's why it's like there's not like the ice area of this planet or like, you know, like the area with the trees, you know, it's all pretty much caves. And like all the caves will sometimes have a lava pool or like an acid pool, but like those are distributed evenly, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, it does. But I mean, otherwise, everything else is kind of like, this is the Metroid 2 to play. Like, I mean, I always wanted to try that. Well, I downloaded it. I have it on my Steam to like play on my Steam link downstairs on my TV. That another Metroid 2 remake. I never really booted up for real.
See, I'm really not thinking. I really haven't been thinking about this in terms of like, oh, this is a remake of an older game. It just feels like a new Metroid game.
Yeah, because I mean, it feels in like it's a new game to you as far as you're concerned, right?
Well, it's not even just that. I think even people who played Metroid 2, there's so much about it that is different. It looks modern, right? It doesn't just look modern. Like Zero Mission was one thing, right? Because they basically made it look like Metroid Fusion. Like this is like a completely new look for the series. There's completely new things in here, like the 360 aiming, and some of the counter stuff. A lot of these abilities they added in, you know, instead of finding map stations, you can kind of like do like this map pulse, and it sort of fills in the map in like the area around you. Like there's stuff like that, right? There's all these new things happening. So I'm not really thinking about this as like, oh, they remade some old game.
That's cool. That makes me actually kind of want to actually still play another Metroid 2 remake.
Yeah, I think that's what's kind of nice about that.
Yeah,
right. Because I think it probably will stand on its own. And yeah, cool. Like it's like I really do want to see somebody try to one-to-one, because like I'm looking at it and I'm still like this. I don't know how much you actually took from this, but I don't think it's like, because you see some things. You're ultimately still going through this planet killing 40 Metroids, right?
Right.
But so much of it is different. I mean, there's so many more abilities even and things like that. I think one-to-one. I feel like, again, I'm not basing this off like some scientific proof. I feel like it's much more of a remake than Zero Mission was to the first Metroid, which was not like one-to-one, but you know, like its whole thing was to get added that bit at the end, right? And it kind of made everything else super Metroid-fied. This seems a bit more of a rework than that.
Reimagining, inspired by Metroid 2. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely looking for my 3DS charger so I can be ready to play that. I wish I could find it. Be more ready. It comes out.
How did you lose it?
I have no idea. I'm a bad person, is what I think it is.
Yeah.
It comes out the 15th, right? So it's still a couple of days.
Yeah, so not too long now. We'll play here's my question: do you think this is your last 3DS game?
Yeah.
There's that Mario and Luigi remake for 3DS.
I know. If that was on Switch, that would be a no-brainer for me. I absolutely would play that, but I don't think I'm going to get the 3DS out for that. I think
I might still. I haven't played that in so long. What, and no Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon love?
No. I want to. If I'm going to build up some Pokemon tolerance, I'm going to pay that forward to the Switch version, if anything. So.
I think that's smart.
Yeah. I'm going to hold back and just try to actually get that. That series again.
It'll be interesting to see if that actually has any kind of impact on the sales for these games. If like these two games maybe don't sell as ridiculously well as some of the other Pokemon games, it's going to sell well, right? But
it's probably not going to sell as well as last year's for sure, right? The one that came on the heels of Pokemon Go.
Right. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, Sun and Moon had a big kind of right place, right time for that one.
For sure. They'll still sell well. You're right. I've been kind of still working through Mario plus Rabbids. I really like that Halloween world, the world 3. Yeah, it's really beautiful. It's getting me in the mood for fall. I was already like going to the grocery store and seeing the pumpkin shit all sitting out. Me too. It's my favorite time of year. Like just everything good happens especially starting in October. It's like
see, I like fall and Christmas a lot. So everything about like yes, here we are. Let's get it going.
Yeah, let's start. Exactly. I agree. And then and the game does a really good job of bringing that kind of stuff to life with like the pumpkins and stuff and jack-o'-lanterns or whatever. I thought that was very cool. It's also still kind of growing on me in terms of like I think it's better and better every level I play. Like every level inside of these worlds, it's just it's getting more and more complex, and it's keeping me on my toes, and I'm restarting levels like quickly because I'm like, oh no, I could do this better. I don't need to put my characters in this much risk. I know I can actually sort of perfect everything. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that. Other stuff, I dabbled with this Super Mario 64 Online, which is this new fan kind of server / remake of Super Mario 64. It's interesting how it works. Essentially, you have to download this client that is Super Mario 64 Online, and it just went up on like the YouTube page. It was like, hey, here it is. It's this game where you and your friends can all explore the worlds of Super Mario 64 together at the same time. and then it had a link to a Google Drive version of the game or of the server client. And that crashed pretty quickly. It like overwhelmed Google's like threshold for the amount of stuff it'll distribute for free. So there was an alternative link, and that's still up, and I got it from there. And I started it up, and it's like, this is confusing. I'm not sure how to do this, but it turns out you have to still have like an emulator and a ROM of Super Mario 64. So you boot that.
I was wondering about that because, like, when I downloaded what you told me to download, it didn't seem like it took very long.
No,
I'm like, I don't think I just downloaded Mario 64.
Mario 64 is still a pretty small game, but it's like it's a couple megabytes still. You know, it's a couple dozen megabytes. So it's like that. Yeah, that is something. But so anyhow, once you have that running, you just have to have the server going, and then you can either join this or create a server on your computer or join a friend's by just putting in their IP address. And then you just have to make sure you load Super Mario 64 in the emulator while it's on the menu or the select screen for like which file you're going to select. And then it says logged in. You hit the game. You go in there, and once you load in, you see like Waluigi, like that was the character I chose, like come out of the pipe instead. And each of the characters like have like different movesets. Like Waluigi has a double jump.
Cool. Well, it was kind of like that in the DS version, right? But Waluigi wasn't in that.
Yeah,
but...
exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, was Princess Peach in that version? I don't think she was.
No, it was Mario, Wario, Luigi, and Yoshi.
Yeah. So I think there's definitely all of those characters, and I think they're using the characters from the DS version. But then like Waluigi can double jump, and Princess Peach could do her Super Mario Brothers 2 jump and things like that. So it's kind of cool. It's neat to like imagine like how this game would work as a cooperative experience. I want to dabble it. I want to make you play it with me. So
yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, let's see if we can make that happen.
I've been known to like some Mario 64.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty all right game.
Yeah.
Then the other game, GTA Online. It's not a huge GTA Online guy in the first place, but they uploaded it or updated it with a Battlegrounds mode. I might have talked about it in previous weeks, but I played a little bit more, and it's still kind of hard for me to kind of get into because I am so used to PUBG and the pace of that game. And it's much smaller, but it's like 24 players at a time, and it is also there's no looting phase. You're just going straight. You're going to get one gun and you're going to go get a vehicle. Once you have a vehicle, you're just going to want to try to use that vehicle to find the biggest, best, most armored vehicles that you could find. Then once you have that, you and your teammate or teammates, because it's usually like teams of 2 or at least, but more often than that, it's teams of 4 to 8. You want to get those vehicles and just take them over and make sure someone's in the big gunner seat. And I haven't really, I don't think I've ever gotten a kill like while shooting the gun. So I was trying to drive as much as I could. And once I was driving, I was doing a lot better by getting my teammates into position so they could get the gun kills. And that was fun. But also, I just can't imagine putting a lot of time into this little diversion in a huge game like GTA 5. I think I wrote about this saying, I think one of the reasons that PUBG works is because it is the whole game. Like you open up the game, this is what you do. And to have it as a diversion, I don't know if this Battle Royale mode that everyone is going to very soon be chasing can work if it's just a side mode in a Tom Clancy game.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me that we're starting to see the kind of Me Too's happening here. And Grand Theft Auto makes sense, because you can kind of just, doctor it into what you already have there.
Right. Yeah. We're going to see it. I mean, there's definitely companies working on it. There's already rumors that were already coming on this weekend saying at least one AAA developer is making theirs right now. So,
well, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it's more than one. It's
all coming.
And then PUBG, I just want to bring it up again because I'm writing the review. I think it's in early access, but I'm at a point where that doesn't matter to me at all anymore.
Well, I don't think it matters to most people. It's like it's like one of the most popular games right now. Certainly one of the most talked about games, if not the most talked about game. I mean, they said it's coming up this year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how committed they are to that.
They seem like they really want to hit it, but who knows? I mean, if it comes down to them having to launch their final product and they know it's going to be fucked and piss people off. And it also prevents them from doing the price increase, which is what usually accompanies these games going from early access to full retail. Like they go from $30 to $40 or even to $60. Like Ark went from $30 to $60. If they know they can't pull that off, they'll delay it and they'll eat the shit for now to get more money later, which is fine. But either way, people can buy it now. You could spend $30 and get this game, and just because it's called early access doesn't mean it's not a product that people are paying for. I mean, I think one of the big things that made me realize like we have to start doing these kinds of things is Fortnite is in its early access season, which I don't know what that means.
Season.
Yes, that's what they call
it's
it.
A season of early access.
I thought it was just an early access. Then I'm like, all right, I need to check this. Let's go see what it says, like at least on the website. And I loaded it up, and it's like early access season happening now. And okay, all right. What you
just making shit up now? I mean, I guess they have been. I mean,
yeah. But it's like that's weird because that game is also like at retail in a disc, like in a package, and people can buy it. And I don't think that package says anything about early access season. It's just Fortnite. So it's weird. Like the people are buying these games without having that full knowledge of like that they're in some early access period. So it's all meaningless, and the only thing that matters is stuff costs money, and is it worth the money? And we could tell you whether it is or not, or at least a little bit. Yeah, so that
should be a pretty good barometer, right? If you're charging people for something, it should be open to a critique.
I think that's perfect. Yes, I think that's a good test right there. We're gonna hop into the news. We're only gonna do one segment tonight. I think there's enough big news stories, and who knows how much we'll talk about in any of this. But we'll jump into it. And if we don't talk a long time, then it's gonna be a short episode. So
that's all right.
Yeah, and that's fine. The first big story is PewDiePie said a bad word on his stream, and not just a bad word, like the worst word. The bad word. This happened over the weekend, sometime during one of his streams on YouTube, and it kind of blew up over the day on Sunday. A video started getting out of it. He was basically in a PUBG match, and he was frustrated, so he yelled out he didn't yell. He called a person the N-word. It was just another player who went over to shoot his teammate deliberately. So he's like, "What the fuck?" or something like that, or "You fucking," and then yeah. And
I like hearing you trying to say.
I know exactly. Yeah, it's real fun. This is a real fun dance I like to do. And then he drops the hard N, and it's shocking to see that that's just how that's going to come out of his face. Not just because it is so shocking inherently on its own, but like, how does he not know better at this point?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It is just crazy. I mean, he's been kind of he hasn't really said anything about this yet. No. He's kind of laying low.
Yeah.
You think he's coming? How do you think he's going to come back? You think it's going to be a kind of a defense, a kind of make a joke out of it, or you think there's going to be some sincerity and some kind of apology? It's hard to imagine the latter for some reason.
Yeah,
all of it.
It'll be all of it, and that so that's why it's hard to imagine the latter, because like the other stuff will like counter
negate it a bit. Yeah,
it'll negate any sincerity. Yeah. Yes, he's definitely going to try to make a joke. I mean, he already said like very quickly afterward on the same stream. That he said it because like he's like, oh, sometimes I forget I'm streaming, which is like, okay, so if you're not streaming, you're just dropping it all the time.
Immediate reactions are never going to be
you're right.
Very good, right? He's just going to be defensive, say things, probably wrong things, maybe true things, but bad things.
Yeah, absolutely. I have an example of that. I'll bring it up in a second, but yeah, just in that immediate aftermath, yeah, he said that, never good, and then he's like, he was worried about his sponsorship money, but yeah, and he said like, no one watching me really cares, and I think that is going to be something that will still be in the video, even if he does have time to reflect. He's going to say, all my real fans know I'm not racist, and to me, it's like, you don't have to be racist to really hurt like a little, like you have a lot of young fans. Just if there's a young black kid watching you and he hears you say that, I mean, I'm not going to put feelings into a young black kid, but I would imagine at least some of them, it would upset him. And if you can't imagine like that kid watching you, like that might say more than actually just using the word, although the word says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, these guys will always fall back to their fan base, right? Because a lot of them will always defend them, right? I mean, you know.
Yep.
It happened with the Nazi thing, the paying the two guys to hold up the sign.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Sterling.
How does that guy still have? I don't know. And I get it. There's a spotlight on him. You know, as soon as he makes a slip up, it's going to happen. But this is like the one slip up you're always told not to do, right?
Yeah, and people are saying, oh, he's from Europe. He doesn't have the same context we do, and I don't buy that anymore. First of all, there are Europeans that do know better. A lot of them from Sweden. There's a lot of. Like if you like, it was a whole thing during the election. Oh, Sweden's like falling apart. Sweden's like burning down because of immigrants or whatever. And there's a lot of like anti a minority sentiment in Nordic countries right now. He's going to be well aware of the language that happens around that and why it's not acceptable. And just on top of that, he's an international star whose biggest market by far is the United States. And his biggest market for sponsorship deals is going to be companies based in the United States that want to appeal to an American audience. If he doesn't know, then he's a bad business person, first of all. But he knows. I don't like. He definitely knows this isn't okay. You're European or not, that's not an excuse. I mean, I'll also say, like, I get it. Like blurting out words is something that can happen in the middle of a game. But this was the one that's like, I don't know. I've never done it. Like, I really have never done it. But that's not to say I haven't used like problematic words. Like, literally just this last week, I was playing with some friends. And I was streaming, and I'm like, "Oh, let's get in that bitch," talking about a river. And I'm like, a gendered slur is probably not something I should be saying, and I don't use it ever against people, which I think is like a line for me personally that I'm very harsh about.
Yeah, I mean, we all have the words that we said when we were younger that we're kind of embarrassed of now. I mean, God, I know. And when I was in high school, I mean, we were just throwing out the gay slurs constantly, just right. And then there's like that. Then there's like everyone's trying to like take it back, like, no, it's actually okay to say it. And everyone's like, and then you just get over it, and you're like, yeah, I guess you're right. You're like, all right, whatever, we won't say it anymore. Yeah, it's fine. It's my mouth, really, right? It's like some people get like upset in this whole like, you can't tell me what not to say. They're just words. It's just like the one rule. It's like just the one thing to just not say a word. It upsets people. Or even if not that, even if you just know you're not allowed to say it because you'll get in trouble. Even if that's your only thing, just don't. That's
right. Yeah. Like it's I can't remember who tweeted it, but it's like there's like two rules. It's like don't say that word, and then don't show your genitals on the stream. And it's like even some places let you show your genitals.
Man, I wish he did the latter instead. That'd be so funny.
That'd be way better for sure. Exactly. And this is like that's how much worse this is. And everyone knows.
It actually is way easier to come back from showing your genitals.
Oh yeah, right? Totally. Yeah, you're
there's almost something humorous about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Haha, your penis.
Yeah, it's body. Like we're not gonna body shame you. You want to get your penis out? I get it. That's fine. Like just don't do it in private to like one person over and over. You're doing it to all your fans. Yeah. The other thing that came out of this is the Firewatch devs, Campo Santo, Sean Vanneman. He said he's going to DMC take down the Firewatch video that has 5 million views that PewDiePie did. This has stirred up some different like counter controversy from people who are very opposed to DMCA takedowns. Which, if people don't know, DMCA is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which essentially gives a lot of power to copyright owners to go online and say to a platform holder like YouTube, hey, you have some of the material that I own the right to, and one of your users put it on there. You need to provide an easy way for me to take this down if I want. And so people have done this in the past when they have every right. People put up movies on YouTube. You're not allowed to do that. The movie studios say, hey, DMCA takedown. Give a strike to that person's account. And if people get 3 strikes, they're permanently banned off YouTube. You can't make any money on the platform. So what's happening now is with Sean Vanneman threatening this, he's saying essentially, I don't want our game associated with that. We have to take a stand. We do own the copyright. We gave people permission to stream and make videos of our stuff, but we're allowed to revoke that whenever we want. And there's some other people saying, oh, no, you gave that permission once, so you forfeit any right in the future to counter or to make any claims on the copyright that you own. So to me, the biggest thing is people are making a bigger deal out of this than what PewDiePie said, which I think is misguided. But I can understand a little bit.
I think it's a concern of a lot of other streamers and people of that right? For because PewDiePie is kind of, and they are kind of upset about that. Like what the things PewDiePie does have consequences for them, right? I mean, just things that happened before, a lot of the ad problems people associate with some of the other PewDiePie controversies, right?
Apocalypse.
Ad revenues going down, the apocalypse.
They all blame him, yep.
Yeah, and now, this is happening, and that would be the mother of it all, because, the idea is that all these publishers and game makers allow people to make this content.
Right.
because, and that's the key word there, they allow it to happen, even though it is technically a violation of this DMCA thing, because it's beneficial to them. You know, it's advertising. It's not like a movie. It's a game. People, you can watch somebody play a game and still want to play it and have like your own very different experience.
Yeah.
Most of the time there's the argument with those narrative game stuff. But, and I'm somebody who really likes, speed runs and let's plays and things like this. But,
and it's a really bad time.
I mean, that's still their content. Ultimately, if they don't want that, that's their right.
I mean, I will say that I think that if this were to go to court, first of all, it's a really bad time because the government we have now, the Supreme Court that we have now, if it reached that level, they would definitely find with the copyright holders for sure. Like, there's no doubt about it. There's no leeway. And they would probably come down in a very strict and a hardline way that would say, no, the copyright holders have absolute control. So there's a lot of danger there. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there has been no court case to determine whether or not what PewDiePie is doing is protected by fair use. I will say that in general, it does seem like his stuff probably wouldn't be, because fair use is for if you're doing reviews, if you were making criticism and you need to bring up examples, and so you're going to use some footage from the game. Typically,
he's making entertainment. He's making entertainment,
right? Which is like using a song in a movie, and you can't just use any song in a movie you want. You have to pay the license for that. And I think Campos Santos lawyers would very easily be able to make that case, and that would be very bad to have that precedent just written down for every company to have the confidence that if they put the money into taking this to court, which they wouldn't really have to do, they just have to threaten it, and that would be that.
Right. So it's kind of this difficult position for now the fire. It's kind of why nobody's really made this, kind of taken it this far. It's like this guy's trying to make a statement or a conscious decision because as one of his game associated with PewDiePie, but it could have these ramifications where all of a sudden all of the people who make these kind of videos are out of luck, right?
And
entire communities, the speedrun community,
and
Let's Plays.
I think most people, even most YouTubers, aren't mad at Camposanto for threatening this. I think they do think that this is a overstepping, and it's maybe DMCA abuse or something, which I don't know. It might. I don't think it is necessarily. It could be, but I don't think it is. But they're mad at PewDiePie.
I mean, yeah, they're mad at PewDiePie. Obviously, if he just would chill out a bit. I mean, that stuff's going to come to a head at some point someday, right?
Yeah.
Someday there will be a court case. I mean, right now, Twitch, Let's Play, esports, all these things have just kind of come up so fast. Nobody really knows what to make of them legally.
YouTubers would be better off delaying this for a few years to see if they could get a more favorable government in place before they try to test this, because they could be in a really deep shit situation if this is where the precedent gets set, because now is not a good time.
Sure.
All right, let's move on to some more fun stuff. South Park: The Fractured Butthole's difficulty slider changes the color of your skin. I think that this is a pretty good joke, right? So
this is incredible. This is real funny.
I think it's pretty good. I don't want to give full credit to South Park because they have had some troubling stuff in the past. They don't always do this kind of racial humor exactly right as far as the races involved are concerned.
Sure, but I get that. But South Park has also been putting itself out there, 16 episodes a year for 20 years. Not every opinion is going to be crystal or even looked back upon favorably as we progress, right?
Yeah, I just don't want to. I don't want to completely give. I just don't want to be so simple as to say, yeah, this is definitely 100% funny and there's no problems. I'll give an example. Someone could see this and be like, yeah, life's more hard if you're black because black people aren't as good at life or something like that. So there's bad readings of it for sure.
But that's not kind of the reading here. They even said specifically that the game becomes hard not because your combat is harder, your ability is worse. It's the way people interact with you.
Yeah.
So I assume it's things like you go into a shop and they're gonna jack a price up on you, or even just be mean to you because you're a little black kid instead of a little white kid.
Yep.
In a white neighborhood.
And I think that's pretty cool stuff. And I have more faith in it than I think some people might that are being critical of it, because Damian Lynn is one of the writers on South Park: The Fractured Butthole.
See, yeah, we know Damian. He's one of the guys who brought us up.
Yeah, exactly. He was at BitMob, and we worked with him for a few years. And I know that guy is pretty on point. He knows what he's doing, and I mean he'd at least be involved in those conversations to the point where if it gets past him, I bet it's the intent there is pretty good. So I think it's a really good joke.
I'm still pretty much a big South Park fan right now. I really like the last game. I get what they're doing here. I think it's good.
I think that's totally cool, and I think I might be right there with you.
Well, I'm glad I have your permission, Jeff.
I just don't want to be like totally like, yeah, this is great, and then find out later that there's like a bunch of people that are like really smart that think it's actually problematic or something.
Jeff, we're smart too.
No, don't you dare say
well,
that.
Well, I'm smart, anyways. My opinion's better.
I ordered a pizza right before we started this, so we had to delay it. So I had to like just stand by the door for.
I have a little Mega Man.
Yeah, so I just think there's plenty of evidence to show I'm not smart. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds just hit 1 million concurrent players on Steam. We knew this was coming. It's the first game to do that. Only other game to do that is Dota 2. It's the first game since Dota 2, and Dota 2 does it pretty regularly. That's an insane number. It's there's reasons it's happening, mostly because it's in China and it's hugely popular in China. I think it's kind of this. I wonder if this is the game that is going to make Steam super viable in China, because you always hear that there's that Wii game service that's from Tencent
thingy,
and it's not on. I don't think it's on Wii game, and I think it's only on Steam, which is one of the reasons this game is so huge on Steam, because that's the only way you can get it. So yeah, I just wonder if this is going to really upset the Chinese market, but China has a pretty strict control on what comes in there, so they would still be able to step in and maybe change things to benefit Wii game instead. I guess really quick on this, I guess Destiny 2 hit 1.2 million concurrent players around the same time, but that's on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 at the same time.
Sure, so
it's not comparable to what's happening on Steam.
No, it's indicative of a strong start. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely, but we don't know what. We don't have
this time, people seem to be liking it a lot more than they did with Destiny 1.
Oh yeah.
I think that if nothing else, I think it is validation that doing the whole like full-on reset with Destiny 2 was smart.
Yeah, had
like not trying to make it like some sort of like super expansion or carry over your character, right? Like it's good that they said, all right, that didn't go great. Let's just do it again.
Right. It doesn't feel like a bastardization of the 10-year game. It feels like this is the best way to do this, instead of, oh, we're just trying to fleece you for another $60 up front. So yeah, it worked out well for everyone involved, the fans and the publisher and the developer. Games Done Quick raises $227,000 for Hurricane Harvey relief. That was something that kind of came out of nowhere. Awesome Games Done Quick was just like, hey, we want to help. We're not going to get everyone together. We're just going to do it all online. We're going to stream everybody back to back. Put them all up on our channel and try to raise some money real quick to help out. Worked out.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of money to raise up for such short notice, putting that together real quickly, kind of having everyone sort of, dial in their streams. Really cool. I got to watch a bit of it, not as much as I would watch like the regular events, because it was so kind of last second. And they're, but good on them.
Yeah, I'm really glad they did that.
I like those guys.
Me too. I think they have a lot of power that they use for a lot of good. So this is great to see. The deal with Destiny 2's microtransactions. I have a vague understanding of this. I want to kind of go over a little bit. But Mike, do you have any hands-on experience? Because I'm pretty sure it doesn't even open up until you beat the single-player campaign.
No, I haven't been playing so much Metroid. I haven't done the Destiny 2ing that I want to.
Right.
I don't understand fully. I do understand. I think what a lot of people are upset about is the fact that shaders are a part of this.
And shaders are the thing that can change the color of your gear to make them all match and stuff.
And they're cool. In Destiny 1, these were like rewards or rare drops, and you could use them as many times as you wanted, which was nice because, if you liked that color scheme, it sucks that as soon as you get like new gloves, everything doesn't match anymore. Well, now they're one-time use, and so that, first off, it's inconvenient, and then the fact that you can get them from these things makes it feel kind of icky.
And then on top of that, if you want to see what another thing looks like on your character, so you equip it, and then you go out in the world and walk around to see what it feels like, that's a use. If you go back to try to put on the one that you liked before because you like that better, you're going to have to use it again. So and they each only have 3 uses, I think, in one.
Right. I really did spend so much time in Destiny 1, just trying all the different shaders and seeing what looks better. Because literally even just because every helmet would have a different idea of what a primary, secondary color was, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
sometimes one shader would look better on that than on the other.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like it.
So, I mean, I think the big reason that this is an issue is, and I'm like in the middle of writing a story that's pretty defensive, I guess, of microtransactions in games, because I think $60 probably isn't enough anymore.
Sure. No. Yeah, we've talked about this before, and I agree with you.
Yeah. So I'm in the middle of writing that story. So I'm like, why does this feel icky to me, and some other stuff doesn't as much? And I think it's because it's clearly taking away something that we had before. Right. Players.
Yeah. If we weren't used to it that other way. Sure, and I get it. You got to put something in your loot boxes, right?
Right.
And it has to be cosmetic. And what was kind of the cosmetic thing in Destiny 1 that, it's fine to do. Well, this is it. But if you make them like full on, I don't know if you just make them rarer and have them, let you use them as much as you want. Yeah. Maybe that's a solution.
It continues to sort of highlight how half-baked Destiny was originally. If they realized this was the best way to do things along the way, it's like at a certain point, it's like, okay, well, too late. Like, even if you do come out with a new game, it's too late. You have established the way that this product works. People still could spend money to try to get those loot boxes, to get rare shaders in the last game. You have to stick with that, because if you take something away from people that they're used to and make it work in a way that is less beneficial to them, they're going to feel pretty burnt. And I know Luke Smith came out and defended this in a way that said you're going to get a lot more shaders later in the game than you would ever imagine. I think people
but they're still going to be like, what if you had that one shader you want? Well, you don't have it. What are you going to farm for shaders?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was Austin Walker on the Waypoint Radio podcast who pointed out, it's like, this is the guy that 10 years ago on the One Up Yours podcast was very, very down on horse armor from Oblivion, or from Bethesda in Oblivion or whatever it was. And like at the beginning of microtransactions, he was one of those guys every week that would really drop that as a joke.
Oh yeah, he would be more mad than, and I get it. Times change, people change, situations change, but it is funny.
Exactly. And it's worth pointing out at least that this is the same guy, and we're at that point where he's got to defend it. And it's his job. He's the director, and he's got to pay everyone so they can go home and eat food and stuff, and he doesn't want to lay anyone off, so he needs his microtransactions to work. It
does. You do wonder if it gives him some perspective on being so upset about horse armor in the first place.
I'm sure he's got a very different opinion on it now at this point. That would be a fun.
Isn't it cute how innocent horse armor seems now?
Yes, absolutely. Just how harmless it was, and yeah. Man, I don't know.
It was nothing. I love how that's one of my favorite things about gaming is how something like that can become the start of something, and we always remember that first instant, and it seems so cute.
Yeah, it's small later. Quaint. It's literally quaint, the way.
But we all remember it.
Yeah, we were so naive. Yeah. Man, gaming is so odd, and that's a perfect example of just how odd it can be. Yeah. I think finally, Lawbreakers player count drops below 50 people at one time on Steam.
I saw this on Reddit too. That can't possibly be right.
I went to go look 50? Myself. I mean, it's Steam Charts is the site, and I don't think anyone's ever said that it's not accurate, or it's at least it's consistent if it is inaccurate, where all the games are inaccurate to the same degree. It's at 250 players usually at its highest per day, and I just can't. How is that possible?
How can that be? I mean, I graduated with 200 people. It's
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's been a few weeks since it came out, and people are having trouble getting
I never thought it was going.
Snowball.
I never thought it was going to do well, to be fair, but.
I thought we'd get a couple thousand players that would play it all the time.
Yeah, it is weird, right? Because I guess, you always think there must be some people playing these games, but it really is just sometimes just no one comes to the show, right? Kind of happened before Super Monday Night Combat, which was a game that I actually liked. I think a lot of people don't even realize they made a sequel to Monday Night Combat. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there was a lot of, if nothing else, advertisement for this, right? I mean, they put it out there.
I remember
they put it out there.
That trailer came out, and one of the tweets that was always promoted on Twitter was Cliffy B saying, "Oh, this is the trailer I'm most proud of in my career."
Yeah, that promoted trailer was everywhere. I mean, for every YouTube thing, oh, God.
I don't know. I get it. I get that I wasn't too thrilled. I mean, I liked it. It was fine. But I was never going to put a lot of time in it, just based on the games I was playing right now. And it's just hard to fathom that is the process everyone went through. Every single person was like, "Oh, this game's probably okay, but I'm not going to play it at all."
Right, because nobody was like shitting on this game. Everyone's like, "Yeah, this is fun. This has got some merit. This is interesting." But then it's just like at the end of the day, man, like, what are you going to spend your time on? Is it going to be this? It's going to probably be Overwatch or PUBG or Destiny 2 or
Counter-Strike,
something, or Counter-Strike or
Quake
Dota
Champions.
or Quake Champions. Or God, who knows how well that's going to do?
Yeah,
now,
for real.
Now that at least has some. It is rough though, right? To be like, hey, this is new IP, and it almost wasn't new IP. They tried to make Cliffy be the IP.
Yeah,
and I don't think that was going to fly.
Yeah, I don't know how you make
that's gotta be if this is true, that's gotta be rough for him.
Oh yeah, for real. I mean, it's not like, again, it's not like he made some awful game. It's like, it's just inexplicable. It's like you just, I mean, the only explanation is just like there's just too many games. And what do you do?
There's too many games like this at this time. Is bad timing, right? And it was kind of like this weird, like trying to mix some of the hero shooter aspects with more of the arena shooter stuff. And
so
I don't know, man.
So here's the thing: can this have like a bounce back if it goes free to play, like Warframe or something like that? Like Warframe didn't have a great start, but it was free to play from the beginning. And it slowly built up over time, and now it has its own like convention. It has its own convention that people go to because they're so in love with Warframe.
Let's see what Battleborn is up to on the Steam charts. We'll see if you can get a bounce back from going free to play. I'll tell you what, that probably did hurt it actually, not just being free to play.
Yeah, I get why they wanted to do the $30. They saw Overwatch and they're like, we want to let people know that this has value.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well,
and you want all the characters, I guess.
Battleborn had peak players of 150 according to Steam charts in August. So
holy shit!
I think in June it went free to play, and it went up to 1,561. Then went back down after that.
I actually kind of hate this. Like this makes me sick to my stomach because if someone like Cliffy B, who I think is a decent game designer, maker, whatever. Can put so many years of his life into making something, and he can miss the mark this hard. What the fuck, man?
It is. I mean, it is interesting, right? It seems kind of like how these sort of online games are right now, where they're just very. There's this very wide margin, right? Like where are there AA games on Steam? I guess there must be, but. It really seems like you're hitting big or you're flopping.
I mean, there's like things like Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice or whatever. Those games come out and they get their audience and they do pretty well and they're in the top 10 on the sales chart for like a couple weeks, things like that. But if you're an online service game, you're either a winner or you're a loser, with like very few in between. And you can work hard. You can be a Warframe, and you can work hard and find that audience that's dedicated and serve them to the point where people keep coming on board and they keep getting bigger and bigger every month. You keep getting bigger, which is what Warframe does. But I don't know. I just I think that
it is kind of weird. I never really think of. I'm not used to thinking of things in terms of peak players. I'm just used to sales, so I'm used to numbers and like millions, or hundreds of thousands. It is weird that when it comes down to it, like dozens. At a given time, there's just like there could just be hundreds of people playing a game.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, to be fair, this is fucking why Microsoft doesn't want to invest in like a lot of games. Like, I think this is why they're so afraid to put a lot of first-party development towards big projects, because something could miss the mark so hard that it gets 50 players at one time on your service. And for a new game, that's catastrophic, and you have to rethink everything. It's either going to be they're either going to have to abandon the game or completely rework it as a free-to-play experience and hope that someone comes back.
Right.
I don't know. So
now
it's
I'm
strange.
Just addicted to looking up games like Braid had 40 peak players in August.
Wow.
And it's just like, I mean, it's just like it's just weird to me. Like, that's something, Braid came out forever ago, whatever. It's just weird to me that, like, right. I don't know. In my mind, when I'm playing a game, like, there's thousands of people doing the same thing as me at any time. Not necessarily, I guess.
I mean,
there are so many games now, right?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. It's
especially
just
on Steam.
Yeah, it seems overwhelmed with choice, and I mean, which is I think one of the reasons I think a lot of people enjoy something like PUBG. It's like, oh god, all my friends are just playing this. I could just load this up over and over, and everyone's going to keep playing it, and that's great. I think Destiny 2 is a similar thing right now, where people are like, okay, I don't have to make a choice. I could just go play Destiny 2, and I know most of my core group of friends are going to be playing Destiny 2 as well. Avoiding that choice is like a huge relief to a lot of people. So, like, who's going to be the person that's going to go to bat for Lawbreakers and try to get their friends to come play Lawbreakers? And it wasn't going to be me, and it wasn't going to be you. But apparently it was no one. That's just fucking weird.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, I think we should wrap this up. My pizza did come at the beginning of this podcast. It's probably cold by now.
Enjoy your cold pizza, idiot.
Yeah, I'm going to go eat that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Mike, why don't you tell everybody where they could find you on the internet?
Well, you can always find me at GamesBeat writing and all that stuff there. My Metroid Samus Returns review should be up pretty soon. You can also find me at ebpodcast.com. It's where I do the Exploding Barrel podcast with my brother, AJ. And on Twitter, I am Tolkoto. That's Tolkoto.
And you guys just got on Anchor FM, right, with the podcast?
Right. I don't really understand what that means. AJ's taking care of that.
Yeah, I can tell that like AJ's doing everything, and you're just like, okay, all right. Well,
AJ's always taking care of hosting and all that's and editing. I host that show, which means I do the intro and outro.
Yeah, that's it's pretty funny to see that. I downloaded the app and I'm like, wait, do I have a channel now? And like people are liking my channel. I'm like, I'm not making any content for Anchor FM. I'm not gonna like record a video or a voice live journal. So I don't really understand it yet, but it's pretty cool. I like that you guys are doing stuff on there. It is cool to get like more than just one thing a week. I'm Jeff Grubb on Twitter. You can get me there. I sometimes also make videos on youtube.com/JeffreyGrubb. You can get those on that platform. And I think that's going to do it. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and it's pizza time.
There you go. Cowabunga, dudes.
Cowabunga.